Hello, good morning and welcome. We are so glad you all are here today. The chat is blowing up and I am loving getting to know who's on our call today. So if you have not yet opened up the chat, please do that and introduce yourself so we know who is on the call today. It will also be your way to ask questions for during the panel and during the speaking session of the event. So welcome, my name is Jessica Pierce and I'm the CEO and founder of Career Connectors. And we are in our 14th year and it's just so exciting that we have been able to help people throughout the ups and downs of the economies, the right and left turns of career transition. And I'm just telling you, I'm a little biased, but you're in the right place at the right time. I don't know what brings you here this morning. I don't know if you are just kind of tipping your toe in and seeing if there's something new out there, or you might be thinking about changing careers, or maybe you went through a recent layoff and you're just frozen and not really sure what's next. Whatever brings you here this morning, you're in the right place. And we will be able to provide some guidance, some tools, and some resources as you move forward. And so just a little bit about us. We are all about building a strong community. You may hear us reference Arizona quite a bit because that's our home base. The speakers on the call today are all based in Arizona, and that's where this nonprofit organization started. But we have branched out and we are serving people now across the United States and probably and the world. So there may even be people from other countries on our call today, but that's why you may hear references to Arizona throughout the call. But the resources, the information, the content is for anyone at any time, at any place. All right, we are here to empower people. So that's whether you're a job seeker, employer, community partner, we have the resources to connect you. And like my good friend Christy will always say, she always says, we have trainers. Some of us have trainers to help us work out. I know I have to have a trainer. I don't even show up to the gym. So I go twice a week because I have a trainer that's waiting for me, but she can tell me what to do, but I still have to do the work. So I have to still do the push-ups. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be able to provide the guidance. We bring in the best of the best when it comes to this content. When it comes to job search, career transition, we have the best of the best. And so they know what they're talking about. We even have moderators that are answering the chat that also are certified professionals, career coaches, resume writers, LinkedIn coaches, and they know their stuff. So feel free to drop questions in there and they will likely be answered by one of those folks on the call. All right, I want to go through some of the tech stuff this morning. Now, if you have questions, one sec. If you have questions, it's really important that you drop them in the chat. We are asking everybody to stay on mute. Do not unmute your phone or the call. You should come into the call with being muted. So please do not unmute yourself. It's very disruptive to the flow of the event. When we get to the breakout sessions, however, towards after the keynote speakers, when we get to the breakout sessions, then we'd love for you to unmute because you're going to go into smaller rooms and groups and be able to ask individual questions to our resume writers, our career coaches, our speakers today. So please, please, please do not unmute yourself and stay on mute the whole event. Now, with the chat, it's at the bottom of your screen. If you're on a computer, there's a chat icon. If you could click that chat icon and introduce yourself in the chat, just tell us where you're calling from. Tell us what kind of career or job that you're looking for. And then I'm also going to ask you guys to start dropping in your LinkedIn URL. And LinkedIn URLs are a great resource for each of us to connect with each other on this call. And it just causes a lot of great conversation offline, off of the event. And so we're going to be connecting on LinkedIn. So make sure you drop your LinkedIn. Brenna, thank you. You just dropped your LinkedIn. That's exactly what we want it to look like. And I'm going to drop in the instructions on how to do that. But we want it to be blue. The reason it's blue, Akiva, thank you. The reason we drop in the blue LinkedIn URL is because it's clickable. And that allows us to connect directly to each other. So the way that you do that, I'll also drop the instructions in a minute. But the way that you do that is go out, open up another browser, or you can do it in the LinkedIn app as well, but go out and open up a browser window and go to your LinkedIn profile. And usually the easiest way for me to get on the LinkedIn profile is to go to LinkedIn, and then I click on my picture and it takes me directly to the profile page. So if that URL in the search bar, if you can just copy it, you can right click on your mouse and copy it and then paste it in the chat. It should come up just like Dane's just did, and Matt's and Kendall's. And then you can connect with each other. Click on it. If you want to put a note in there, say, would love to connect, met you at, or saw you on the Career Connectors event. That's a great way to introduce yourself. We know without a fact, the number one way to get a job is through some type of networking, somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. Resume is really, really, really important, which we're going to talk about, but still the number one way to get your foot in the door is through networking. So that's an awesome tool that we always encourage people to use. Now, to look at your screen, there's the way that I'm going to suggest that you all look at your screen is, actually today is going to be more side-by-side gallery view, or side-by-side speaker view. But basically what's going to happen is, for the panel section, you're going to see the 4 speakers on your screen. There's not going to be a PowerPoint. But when we have a PowerPoint, if you're on side-by-side speaker view, then you're going to see the PowerPoint and then the person that's speaking. And so that's in the right-hand corner of your screen. There's a drop down that says view, and then you can click which one you would like to use. At the end of the call, right around the 10:30-ish Pacific Standard Time, we are going, which is current Arizona time and Pacific Standard Times, we're going to be going into our breakout sessions. Now, the breakout sessions are where all of our speakers will have a room, and you'll be able to go in there and move into different rooms and talk to them about your personal situation or your situation, your resume. We're going to have LinkedIn coaches. And so you can go in and ask about your LinkedIn profile. And so the first main session here is information for everybody. And then you're going to be able to go and ask your individual questions as we go into the breakouts. All right. Thanks everyone for dropping your information in the chat. You know, I started this nonprofit 14 years ago, as I had mentioned, through my own experience with layoffs and closing down business. And so it started back in the middle of the recession of 2008 and 9, and we have been able to serve almost 60,000 people in the time since we started 14 years ago. And so we have seen the economy at the best of the best, at the worst of the worst. We've seen it, what happened at COVID and then the fallout of that. We've seen it in the best of days, and people still, no matter where the economy is, people that jump on our call that are looking for a job have a baseline of, I want to find a job that that I like, but also that can pay the bills, and what I'm kind of supposed to be doing with my life. And so regardless of where we are in the economy, we kind of all still have this baseline of, I really need something in my career that means something and that pays us enough money. So we get it. We may not have the same stories, but we certainly understand, and we're going to do everything we can to help you move along in that journey of yours. So if you do need closed captioning, that is on the bottom of your screen. There's a show captions option, and go ahead and click on that and you'll be able to see closed captioning. All right, so this morning or afternoon, I saw some of you are calling in from the East Coast. Today, you're going to hear from the Red Hot Resume panel. I'm going to introduce them to you in just a moment. And then we're going to hear from Jeff, I didn't even ask how to say your name right, but Jeff Carusini, I think is right. And we're going to hear from him about LearnKey and some really great free resources that he has for you guys, and some additional resources that are really, really awesome. And then we'll close it out. And then after that, close it out with some additional resources. And then you can see there right around 10:25 or so, we're going to go into those breakout sessions. And we'll be talking about, or we'll have coaches in for LinkedIn. We'll have all of our speakers, the resume writers and career coaches. We have a finance coach. We have a representative from Best Companies AZ who represents a lot of hiring companies. And then Jeff will also, as one of our speakers, have a breakout, and we will end at 11:30. So let's go ahead and get moving on with our great panelists who I am so honored to know for many, many years. I would like to introduce you all to Donna Tucker. She's with Career Pro Resume Center. Hello, good morning, Donna.
Morning.
Hi, we also have Brenda Mariah. She is with Push Career Management. Hi, Brenda.
Hey.
And Lori Norris with Get Results Career Services.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. All right. So we're going to go into, let's see, Bree, I think we're going to go ahead and take the presentation down, and then we'll get started with there we go. And we have the 4 pinned. Okay. So let's go. Okay. So in this view, just want to make sure you all know this. Up in the top right corner of your screen where it says view, if you click speaker view, you will see the 4 speakers. If you stay in gallery view, you will see everybody. So it's probably easiest for you if you click the view button in the top right corner of your screen and click on speaker. And you'll see the 4 of us that are speaking, and specifically the 3 panelists, our experts here today. So good morning, ladies. Thank you for doing this again for us. You guys are so fantastic and we really appreciate you. So to get started, why don't I always love when you introduce yourselves and kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. So take a minute or two and just kind of tell us what you do, an overview of your services. And then my favorite question we always start off with is, what's one of the biggest mistakes you ever see on a resume? So Lori, I'm starting with you today.
Right. Well, thank you very much for having me, Jessica, and welcome everybody. So as Jessica said, I own Get Results Career Services. I am a certified professional resume writer and a certified job and career transition coach. I've been in business since 2004. Let's see. I also, my focus, I help everyone at all levels, but my special passion is helping people transition out of the military. So I work a lot with law enforcement, first responders, and transitioning service members in their translating their skills from the military to the private sector. So that's my special, where my heart is, but I do work with everyone. Because I work with the military, I host the Lessons Learned for Vets podcast. We have 135 episodes out there of information available to help transitioning service members in their path to private sector employment. Now, let's see, my biggest mistake. Well, anybody that listens to my podcast will know my favorite word in the podcast is focus. And it's like kind of a Where's Waldo for every episode. It's like, how long does it take Lori to say the word focus? And so your resume has to be focused and targeted. You can't put everything into a resume and go, well, I hope it appeals to someone. When you write a generic, unfocused resume and you're trying to capture everyone's attention, you end up capturing no one's attention. So we don't want to come across as someone who has our skills a mile wide, but an inch deep, right? That jack of all trades, what comes next? Master of none. And you want them to know that you are specialized and targeted, and you know exactly how you can help them.
Yes, I love that, Lori. Thank you so much. Okay, Brenda.
I love that. And really, when I think about Lori, like, I don't even pretend to write a military transition resume. The minute they say military, I'm like, okay, call Lori. The end. And so I really love what she said about focus, and I think it's so true. So, and I want to thank you for acknowledging the name of the moment, which is Brenda Mariah, not Brenda Cunningham. I dropped it. I let it go. Cunningham was a different part in my history, and so it is no longer part of me. So don't be confused. Brenda Mariah is me, and so I do work as a professional resume writer, interview coach. I'm really excited to launch a new interview coaching course. So there are lots of ways that we can help people really on the practical matters of job search. And I think it's so important. Now, my background is in engineering and project management. So I do speak tech and I do end up working with a lot of technical folks. But the thing that I think as the biggest kind of error or opportunity when it comes to resumes really is thinking that your resume is all that you need. I think Jessica kind of nailed it earlier, talking about networking being such an essential piece of an effective job search. And so I see a lot of times people kind of tweaking their resume to death, or tweaking their profile and tweaking this, and no, I got to get back to the drawing board. Like, there was nothing wrong with your resume. Maybe you hired a professional, it was good, but you're not talking to people, you're not engaging with people. And so many of you, you're probably dropping your LinkedIn URL in this chat and nothing will ever happen. You'll never connect with anybody, you'll never follow up with anybody. And this is half of the battle that you're destined to fight. So be prepared to brace yourself for a real fight. And networking is an essential part in addition to your resume.
That's right. Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, Donna, tell us a little bit about
Last but not least,
That's
right?
right.
Donna Tucker, Career Pro Resume Center. I've been writing resumes for over 20 years, and I think I'm one of your oldest volunteers, Jessica.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Where was it? Oh, I'm a founding member of the Resume Writers and Coaches Association here in Arizona. I'm secretary of the National Resume Writers Association, and Brenda forgot to mention that she is president-elect of the National Resume Writers Association, which we're very proud of. I write for, I'm a generalist as far as writing resumes, but I do like to write federal resumes. Have any of you on the call thought about applying for a federal job? It's a totally different resume.
My phone, we can leave in any time.
Let me, please make sure you're
Okay.
muted. I'm gonna go ahead and mute Brenda. You're gonna have to, okay. If you're not muted, please do that on the call. We are just talking in the chat. So click on the chat icon. Sorry about that, Donna.
That's all right. So anyway, there's a lot of federal jobs out there. All the departments have expanded lately, and it's a very different resume that you need to write for federal. So I'd be happy to talk to anybody about that. And I was also pleased to see how many, well, I don't know if I'm pleased, but interested to see that how many people are trying to transition into another field or industry when they were writing in the chat. And I love doing those kinds of resumes too. As far as what I see is that people want to tell too much about what they've done and not enough about what they can do for the next employer. Because the resume really isn't about you so much as it is about the employer who's going to be reading your resume. What can you do for them? What benefit do you bring? What is your value? It's not about the duties and responsibilities of your previous positions.
That's great. Fantastic. Great. So this is why these ladies are here. They know what they're talking about. I always think, just drop in the chat this question. So how many people have you asked for resume guidance while you're in your career search? So just drop that in the chat. Did you ask no one? Did you ask 5 people? Did you ask all your friends, 20 people, 30, over 20? Yes, 5, 4, 10, good. Yes, 3, 12, 2, 0. Okay, all over the board.
Can I say something about
go.
that? Be careful who you ask. Because
right.
if somebody is 80 years old and hasn't worked for the last 30, they don't know what's changed in the resume or in the career search industry. And be careful. Sure, they can help you with grammar and punctuation, but as far as resume formatting and content, sometimes they'll give you bad advice too. So be careful.
Yeah, even Jeremy comments, he asked 5 and the advice was very conflicting and some of it was outdated.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing, you guys, these ladies with what they do, it's just like if you were going to see a doctor or an attorney or a professional, there's requirements. Some of you may be in an industry that requires this, but there are requirements to keep up to date and to know the most current. There's certifications, they're annually certified. So can you guys kind of tell us what that means to be certified and have to keep up to date?
Sure. And I'll talk about it from the perspective of even like the National Resume Writers Association. We have a few different certifications. The NCRW Nationally Certified Resume Writer and the NCOPE really is branded that way because we couldn't use the name LinkedIn in the title. But certifications, what they allude to is that you've been tested. You have studied, you've been tested, you've been evaluated against some form of a standard, and that standard exists by way of what employers are looking for, like how did the systems work? So we have an obligation to you as a job seeking community to make sure that we are well informed. This is why we attend conference. Our NRWA conference is happening in about 2 weeks. So we'll be there ready to get the latest and the greatest information. Artificial intelligence, how does that affect things? There are so many changes always constantly happening, and it is not easy for the average job seeker who might search for a job every couple of years to try to keep up with all the nuance of every trend. That's our job, and so you rely on us for that kind of expertise, just like you don't expect us to know your work intricately the way that you do. And so we study, we make sure that we have a good hold on the latest and greatest information, really, so that you don't have to.
Yeah, awesome. So thank you for that. So let's get into it then. Now you guys know who you're hearing from. You're hearing why they were selected to be here, why they offered their time. They really are the best of the best. And I love doing this with them every year, every couple of months, actually. So let's talk about mechanics, ladies. So what are the top couple most important things to have on a resume? Donna, you want to start?
The focus, as Lori said earlier, make sure that you tell the reader what you're applying for. It's not a matter of just laying out, here's my history, pick me. You have to be targeted to the job application or the job announcement that you're applying to. And that means tailoring your resume each time you apply. One resume doesn't fit all.
Must have measurable accomplishments whenever possible. Those measurables help us know the scope, first of all, of your responsibility. How many people did you supervise? How many customer accounts did you manage? And then the impact statements, the measurables of how you made a difference. How did you make it better? What were the improvements? And really try to put those measurables whenever possible. It really helps. Number one, it helps people see the value of the impact that you had. And it also just helps people to see how you're going to bring that forward and help them. But also it stops that human eye that's reading the resume. If it sees a number, it'll stop and read that area. And so it really serves a lot of purpose to put measurable accomplishments and numbers and metrics into your resume.
Good. And I'm going to take what Lori said and just really pierce it through the heart a little, because I think it's absolutely crucial. The one thing I want you to not include on your resume is a bunch of fluff, right? And so saying things like, I'm goal oriented. Okay, well, that's really nice. I hope so. I would hope and assume that we're all goal oriented on some level, but tell me how you've achieved specific goals, right? And so, and I think about a project manager, if you don't tell me the like she said, the scale or the scope of what you're capable of, I might lump you in with the wrong group of project managers. And so there are project managers that can manage a $5,000 budget, while there are some that can manage an $80 billion budget. And I don't know which one you are because you haven't told me. And so let's steer clear of the really kind of fluffy, like I'm goal oriented, I'm detail oriented. Okay, that's really great, but just show me some actual result.
Yeah, perfect.
Keep going, or are you going?
Go ahead.
How about not aging yourself, keeping some of the dates, the early dates off your resume? Don't go back more than 15 years unless there's something really significant early on. And then you don't even have to maybe put a date with it. Don't put dates with your education if you got your degree back in the 70s. Nobody has to know that. It's the degree that's important, not when you got it. Now, if you're just getting out of school, that might be a different thing. But if it's been a while, yeah, don't age yourself.
And we have some questions in the chat that are really good, and I'm coming back to some of them in just a second. I want to ask about a couple of the more functional pieces or baseline pieces of the resume, because some people I see on here are brand new into creating resumes. And so just to level set this, talk to me about number of pages, font size, and are we talking about a traditional resume that starts with experience, most current experience? Those three questions. Talk to me about those, ladies.
But I start with page length.
Yes.
So anyone that tells you your resume must be one page, stop listening to them. That is not true. There is no rule out there that says you must fit on one page. Now, here's what I will tell you. You want to be on 2 pages or less, right? So within, you have 2 pages to convey your value, your experience. And so if you have a 2-page resume, make sure that first page has all the good stuff, right? So if your certification as a professional engineer is the most important thing, make sure it's listed on the first page. Don't fill that first page with, as Brenda said, fluff and your highlights and key skills and value statements. Make sure you get into that work experience on the first page. Otherwise, they're just going to turn page 1 over and go straight to page 2. So you get 2 pages, and there are some exceptions, doctors, lawyers, professors, high-level executives, but I will tell you, I write hundreds of resumes every year, and maybe 1% of them go beyond 2 pages that aren't in the federal government. That's a whole different thing. When I write a federal resume, that's a different animal, but we're talking private sector resumes. So keep it to 2 pages, but don't feel like you have to be on 1 page.
And just other practical nuggets, because I absolutely agree with that. I mean, you just really don't want a font that's much smaller than about 10, just because it's difficult to read. I mean, Donna's got her glasses, like I got my glasses that I'm supposed to be wearing. I mean, let's make it easy on our audiences as best we can. And what was the other component you asked about? Font size, and then there was another.
The functional versus traditional.
Oh, that's a biggie.
Okay, Jesus.
You said the bad word.
Well, and so I will address, does it have to be in a certain sequence? No. If my education trumps my experience at this stage in my career, I'm going to position that higher on my resume, absolutely, every time. If I have 20 years of experience and no degree, why would I put that front and center? And so I'm going to then bury that kind of closer to the bottom. And so it really is a strategic decision that you're having to make depending on your unique circumstance. But in terms of functional resume as it is defined, like I'm not going to include any dates, I'm going to break down all of my experience by skills. That can be really tricky for in the applicant tracking software, and certainly for any organizations to really be able to understand how much experience you have in a specific area, because you're not quantifying it. You're just saying, hey, I've done this. Well, maybe you did it once, or maybe you did it for 10 years and you're not getting yourself the credit that you're due. And so be mindful there, and then I'll be quiet and let others speak.
The one thing that you missed when you talked about the font was the type of the type style. We want to try to stay away from the serif fonts, and those are the ones with the little feet. Those are kind of outdated, and sometimes they can get a little too close together and connect, and it's hard for the applicant tracking software to read. So you want to use sans serif fonts. Calibri, Arial are 2 good ones to use. And still keep some white space. Don't make your margins 0.2 on the other side, so that everybody can read it. When it's scanned, when it goes through the applicant tracking software, you're not losing the beginnings and the endings of sentences because there's no margins.
Awesome. Thank you. So Calibri and Arial in size, did you say 12? I can't.
Not smaller
11 for Calibri is probably about the best. Arial, you can go down to 10, can't you?
Yeah.
10 or 11.
Okay, great.
10
I
to
just
12 is my just absolute range, regardless.
Perfect. I just dropped in the chat, you guys, if anyone's questioning what we were saying.
I
All
don't know
right.
how you can do that. How can you type and talk at the same
have a
time?
lot
I
going
can't
on
do
here.
it.
And no to Times New Roman, the person who's asking about that.
Yeah, I
I'm
saw
a
that
fan.
too, but
Not
I couldn't
anymore.
type fast enough.
A lot of people have asked, are we recording this call? Yes, we are recording this today. You will get an email either this afternoon or tomorrow with a link back to this webinar so that you can rewatch any of this that you would like, especially as you are getting ready to prepare your resume or you're updating it. This is available to you at any time. We leave it parked out on our website. Okay, you guys, we're going to talk a little bit about customized resumes, but first I want to jump into years of experience. You already kind of addressed this, Donna, but how far back should you go in your years of experience on your resume?
15, I would say, would be pretty middle of the road. If you don't ever have, if you're just starting out and don't have 15, well, I guess you can't go back that far. But you know, if you have 30 years experience, by the way, 20 is the biggest number you want to ever say, you know, and when you do your summary at the top of the resume, you never want to say more than 20 years experience. The bigger the number, the older you're going to look. So keep the 20. You aren't that much smarter after that anyway. But you can go, but if you do say 20 years experience, then make sure that you address the 20 years on the resume in some way. You can have use prior experience without dates to show that there's more past the 15 years that you actually dated, if that makes sense.
So I hope you guys heard that. So what Donna's talking about is you can have your list of experience on your resume. Then you can have a section at the bottom that says other or previous experience. Is that right, Donna? And then you
Sure.
just bullet point out a couple anything that might be relevant to the job you're applying for.
Relevant, yes. But yeah, if it had nothing to do, if you were a lifeguard when you were in high school, we don't need to talk about it. No.
Okay, great. That goes to the customized resume. So because we're kind of talking about what's relevant to the job I'm applying for. Does that mean that every time I apply for a job, I have to update my resume, or do I just update the kind of summary section? What does that mean?
Well, I say when written well, you really will be customizing mostly that top kind of third piece of your resume when it's written well. If you're starting with a great solid foundational resume, then you are not rewriting the whole resume's content every single time. You are customizing it to the language from the job posting. What is that specific employer looking for versus what I like to do, or I'm really proud of this. Okay, but they asked for that. And so if they ask for project management, but you've called it program management, call it project management, because that's what they care about. And so we have got to sometimes get out of our own way and just talk to our audiences and speak the language of our audience. We get so swept up in this is how I never used to be this way. And I remember the good old days. We get really caught up in that and we miss the point altogether. And the point is connect with your audience. Use the language of your audience. And they gave you the treasure map. They gave it to you. They spelled it out and it's called the job description. Look at it every single time, study that thing, pick out their specific language, their specific software titles, skills, what have you, and rename those things in your resume every time. I know it's hard. I know it's tedious. I know it's irritating, and I know nobody feels like doing it. But this is actually going to accelerate your search, because without it, you end up just sending out a whole bunch of generic resumes and wondering why nobody's calling. And I want you to be prepared to put in that work.
I want to give you an example. So let's just say that you're going to go out fishing in the ocean. The Pacific Ocean is a really big place. And if you go out to go fishing in that ocean and you have no idea what kind of fish you want to catch, You don't know what kind of bait to take, what kind of tackle to use. Do I fish on the surface or on the bottom of the ocean? Do I fish in warm water or cold water? Do I fish close to the shore? Do I have to go out a ways? You're going to go out fishing. You have no idea what you're trying to catch. And you're going to come back sunburned and hungry and frustrated. And you're going to say, there are no fish in that stupid ocean. And if you're out there job searching and you're sending your resume out to jobs that you're qualified for, and you're not getting phone calls and you're saying there are no jobs out there, I'm going to tell you there are. People are hiring, people are getting hired, but you've got to use the right bait. You are going to do better, be better served to send out 5 to 10 applications every week where you read the job posting, just like Brenda said, where you research a little bit about the company and find out, like, what are their needs? Why are they hiring? And you create a targeted package just for that job, just for that company. And you send out 5 to 10 every week. And you can only send 5 to 10 because that's all the time you have, because this is a little more time consuming, but I promise you, you will get better results. You will have more interview calls, and you will get noticed more by putting that effort into each one, as opposed to just kind of papering the world with resumes that are generic, right? And I feel like a generic resume is like going out fishing with an empty hook and just kind of trolling around with that empty hook in the water. Every once in a while, you might get lucky and you might catch a fish in the back, but you're not gonna, it's not an efficient way to do it. So if you're sending out hundreds of applications, hundreds of resumes, number one, that gets frustrating and it's demeaning to not hear anything back. And so change your approach. Make it a targeted, focused approach. And no, you don't have to rewrite your resume every time. Just like Brenda said, if you've started with a solid foundation of a targeted resume, you're just modifying it and tweaking it each time to the job's needs and the employer's needs. And that's a more efficient way to do this.
That's fantastic. So let's jump into a couple other things. Specifically, this question is being asked over and over and over again about the world of AI and ChatGPT, right? You knew that's what I was going to ask you. So talk to us, ladies. This is new to a lot of us. And we know I know personally, it's super helpful with a lot of the work that I do. I have no idea the impact on resumes and applicant tracking software and all of that. So would you guys address that for us?
I will. AI is fine. ChatGPT, I use personally Google Bard. But it can be so helpful in getting ideas, in helping with what you do. But don't let an AI write your resume. It's just like it's as bad as using a template when a template isn't necessarily right for your industry or for your background. You've got to put your own voice into things, your own personality into a resume. And the AI programs are only going to be as good as the information they're fed.
Probably
They
heard the term garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah, and that's
so-
exactly it. And go ahead. No,
I was
go
just
ahead.
gonna say, like, you know, where ChatGPT, Bard, Teal, whatever you're using, where they get their information on resumes is from Reddit and Twitter threads, and outdated information on Google. And the thing about I use AI, like Donna said, to do research, to get ideas. I just typed it in yesterday, like, hey, you know, ChatGPT, what are some transferable skills from this career field to this career field, just to get my brain thinking, right? It's like, ask it questions, use it for research. It's really a really cool tool, but it makes stuff up. If you say, hey, ChatGPT, write my resume, you know, give me some metrics, so they're going to make it up. And if you make up a number on your resume and you go to the interview and they're like, oh, tell me about how you increased sales by 50%. You're going to be like, well, I worked really hard and I'm awesome, right? So you can't support it. Remember, resumes are just step one. You've got to support that in an interview as well.
Yeah.
And so I love AI. It's a great tool. I think all three of us use it all the time. but we use it for research, for ideas, like writer's block is a thing, right, ladies, right? So, but it doesn't, one of the things, like I think Brenda said earlier, it's like, a lot of adjectives, right? And man, oh man, is ChatGPT famous for flowery, like highly successful, self-motivated, results-driven, whatever, right? So it's very, very flowery. So be careful of that.
And I noticed that the format of the final product from any of the AI resume builders are very outdated. And be really careful about that.
It was interesting. I had a consultation, might have been late last week, with a gentleman, and I was looking at his resume, and on its surface, I was like, oh, it looks kind of pretty. And then we got into the content. And I was like, what the heck is this? And he was like, oh, I cheated a little. I had AI write this for me. I was like, well, it doesn't actually say anything. It just looks good, but it didn't have anything of value in it. And there were so many edits that I'm, just cutting through that thing with my red pen. So, I mean, yeah, great. Go for it. Try it, get what you can get out of it. And at the end of the day, like Lori said, you're going to need to defend that thing in actual conversation and in your life and in your career. You have to be the force behind it. But don't forget that you still have a part to play in making sure that that thing is accurate.
Awesome. Okay, you guys, talk a little bit about accomplishment statements and keywords. So how do we write best accomplishments? And is this, how do we incorporate keywords to help customize and match the job description?
So if I can start with accomplishments, because I like that. I like talking about accomplishments. And so the best way that I can kind of showcase that to you is the very thing that we see a lot of the times on resumes, and that's people have bullet point responsible for, bullet point responsible for, bullet point responsible for. And it is, right? We saw kind of Donna's side and Lori's nodding, and I'm like, oh, it's very maddening when it's a copy paste almost of your current job description that you think is a resume. That is not a resume. A resume actually should showcase your achievements, your accomplishments. What did you do? And so you might have been responsible for answering phones. Great, that's fantastic. Answer those darn phones. But how many calls did you answer? What did you do with those phone calls? Were the problems resolved? Did you make money? Did you retain clients? What happened as a result of answering those darn phones? And so make sure that it addresses it's a simple question that I'm going to give you. And I want you to ask yourself this question at least 3 times when you're building out the content of each of your kind of maybe bullet points or accomplishments, whatever you want to call them. But the question is, so what?
Yeah.
I was responsible for answering phones. So what? Well, I answered like 400 calls a day. So what? Well, I had to document notes in a CRM system. So what? Okay. And so now you can see, instead of saying I'm responsible for answering phones, you can say answer 400 plus calls a day while documenting meticulous notes in CRM system, i.e. Salesforce, right? And now you're giving us a heck of a lot more information. Now I can see the difference between, $15 an hour and, $80K a year, because wait, you're going to make me money. You're going to retain my customers. You're going to help me build my referrals. All of these things are happening. You shown me. You didn't just kind of tell me, you showed me. And now I can justify the income that I'm going to present to you at Offer Time.
Can I play off of Brenda's there with the things she just said, how you're going to retain my customers, how you're going to make my customers happy, you're going to make more money. Those are things that you want to talk about right at the top, if that's the kind of job you're applying for, right at the top of the resume in the profile section. So most people call it a summary, but I hate doing that because then people have a tendency to summarize their history as opposed to summarizing their value. And that's what that top third of the resume is going to be. Here's what I can do for you. Here are the benefits I bring to your company. So what Brenda has done is proven in the experience section what we're saying at the top you can do for the employer. So you're not just telling them I can do it, you're proving to them you can do it.
That's
How's
great.
that?
That's
I
good.
don't remember who said it earlier, but somebody said the resume isn't about you. I think that was you, Donna, right?
Yeah.
You're the brilliant one that said that. And that is so true. I actually did a course or like a workshop for Career Connector several years ago that was titled, It's Not All About You. And so your resume, even though you're writing about your background, your skills, your experience, the employer doesn't want to hear about you. They want to hear about how you can help them. How are you going to add value to them? So take the focus off yourself and add that so what that Brenda talked about and really think about benefits, right? I achieved this and here's how it added value. So your resume isn't about where you've been, it's about where you're going. It's about what you want to do next and how you can help that employer where you're going next. Are you going to make them money? Or are you going to save them money? That's what makes the world go round. And so really highlight what is it that you're going to do that sets you apart from those other candidates. When you take the focus off of you and put it on the employer, it's a game changer.
And I just want to take this all the way home. And it's something I know y'all are going to love when I say it. It's called front loading. And so when you're actually writing out the specific content in your resume, you won't say, I answered phones, I answered 400 calls a day or what have you. You'll actually lead the bullet point, lead the sentence with the result, with the thing that made the difference. And so if you increased revenue, lead the bullet with increased revenue, not with I answered phones. I did a task that produced a result. Lead with the result. That is difficult in practice to do for an average citizen. So please give yourselves grace as you try to kind of battle with this. But this is the kind of thinking that I really want you to adopt.
And, I'm thinking about you saying that, and I'm thinking, is that something I can actually put into Chat GPT to ask, rewrite this or help me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way we can use Chat GPT. It's not like you're not saying don't use it. Just don't have it write your whole thing and submit that resume. Like use it as almost a partner as you're developing your resume.
Well said.
Okay, let's talk about Donna's favorite subject, everybody. Applicant
tracking software.
So I'm going to just hand over the mic to you, Donna, and just ask you to talk about it.
Well, we probably have, to be honest, have addressed everything in what we've said already. There really isn't that much difference. It's about and we didn't get to the key words that you asked us to talk about before, but it's mostly about the key words. But the formatting, just be careful you don't use and I'm going to qualify this a little bit, text boxes and graphs and columns are going to be messy for you. Now, some of the more sophisticated software systems probably can read it, but you never know. You don't know what system you're applying to when you upload a resume. So why take the chance? You can have a beautiful resume without a text box. You can have a beautiful resume without columns. Tables, that was the other one, without tables. You can use tab sets instead of the tables. So just be careful because and also, the big one is don't put your contact information into a formal header where you go up to insert and headers. Okay, because they don't read headers and footers. So now the second page you can, if you have a 2-page resume, you can put your contact information on a header on the second page, but not the first page. So there's just a few little things, but the big thing, of course, is the keywords. Go through the job announcement. I print them out and I use a red pen and I underline all the big words. And that isn't things like, it isn't so much the soft skills as it is the hard skills. And make sure they're included. And Brenda said earlier, they might call it a program manager and you called it a project manager, use their language. And
that's-
it's not that you're going to be eliminated, but you won't score as high. And often if there's 100 people applying for a single job, they're not going to interview 100 people. They're going to take the top 5, maybe top 7. And you want to be in that group. And it's the words that you've used in your resume that prove that you're worthy of consideration.
I love that, Donna. That's exactly where my head was going, was to do my little stack of papers illustration, right? If there are 100 applicants and 100 resumes in my pile, I am not going to, in any universe, talk to 100 people. And so what I am going to do is have my software scan through each of the 100 resumes and see which ones have the content that I was looking for. And that is essentially what the ATS is doing. Its job is to scan through resumes and see which ones are the closest match. Now a human person can come in and, okay, maybe look at the 20 top scorers and say, oh, okay, well, of this 20, I'm going to call these 5. And these are the ones we're going to bring in for the interview. And so when I hear, I don't know if I've heard the term black hole anymore. I don't think I've been hearing that lately, but a lot more people are saying, I keep getting an automated rejection letter. As soon as I apply, or within a few minutes of me applying, I'm getting rejected right out of the gate. These are indications, people, that your friends, people, I love you, community, this is an indication that you are probably missing the mark on some of the keyword content. You're probably trying to be a little bit too generic, right? I'm trying to apply for I don't want to be pigeonholed. So I'm going to apply for all these like 50 different positions with the same resume because I don't want to be pigeonholed. The solution to that isn't to just be mad about it. The solution is to create a few different versions of your resume if you want to pursue a few different pathways. That's okay. It's absolutely okay. But get in there and do the darn work, because this is what's required. I don't like it any more than you do that our job search system is overly complicated. It's far more complicated to navigate in this point in history than any other time in history. But we are not here to solve that problem today, because we don't have the mechanisms to solve that problem today. So what we can do today is outsmart the system that we have.
Can I just talk a little bit about the ATS for anybody that doesn't know what that is? It's called Applicant Tracking Software. And basically, most companies use it, whether they're small or large. They have some sort of a system to intake your application, your resume. And what it really does, it's not an evil robot, pew, pew, shooting down your resume and sending you to that black hole, like Brenda said, but it parses information from your resume into their tracking system. And so it's got to be able to find the information on your resume, which is why Donna said no headers, no formal headers, no tables, no text boxes. Like, applicant tracking software cannot read information in those areas. So when you have the information in those areas, then the ATS can't pull it out and put it into their system. So I have a quick story. I had a customer who reformatted his resume after I sent it to him, and he's like, I'm not getting any phone calls. I don't know what's going on. And I said, send me what you have. He sent it to me, and he had taken his contact info and put it into a header. So when his resume was going into the system, it was out, he would go in there with no name, no phone number, no email, no way of contacting him. Of course, he wasn't getting phone calls. They couldn't find him in their system. We changed it back. He had calls the very next week. So it's really important if you don't know those fine details, right? And so that's really an ATS. You know, when you get those auto reject, then someone has probably set up an auto knockout question, right? Which is like, do you have a degree? Yes or no? If the answer is no, you get that automatic knockout, right? So there are those auto knockout questions, and that's why you get those really quick replies of a negative. But that an ATS is really just there to help kind of rack and stack you, evaluate your percentage match, you know, your keywords, and kind of rate you in terms of your qualifications so that a human can then come and read your resume.
Yeah. Fantastic. Also, I just wanted to mention our really good friend Amanda Miller joined the call a little bit ago, and
See
she
that.
is answering questions like crazy in the chat. She is wonderful. If she's answering your questions, she's legit and knows what she's talking about, professional certified expert. So listen to her. All the ladies agree with me on the line. So
Yeah.
I want to, another big question, and we're running out of time as we always do, but another big one I want to address is employment gaps. What is your recommendation on, somebody that was either laid off for a long time or had to care for a parent or was out of work for a while, or maybe job hopped and had to pick up little contracts? What is your guidance for employment gaps?
So for me, 6 months is my threshold. Like if your gap is less than 6 months, I don't even really think you need to address it in really any way. Beyond the 6 month mark is where we want to make sure that we're paying close attention. If it was caring for a loved one, say that, but say it briefly and move on with your life. There is nothing, or this is a new normal, if you will, where folks have had to kind of take a step back and take care of their parents or grandparents or what have you, and just say that, cared for a loved one, and maybe think about putting an end date on that if there was an end date, because otherwise it may look like you're still actively a caregiver. Now, if it was you, if you were ill, please do not say on your resume, I have been ill chronically for 2 years. Please, you can continue to say caring for a loved one, and it doesn't have to reference you. Do you love yourself? I hope so. You are the loved one, okay? But accounting for the time is important. I don't fully agree with the way that a lot of recruiters and hiring professionals value time so much, but this is the system that we're in. And so again, outsmart the system that we're in, account for that time. If you have not been doing anything but I've been looking for a job, and it's 18 months and it's 6 months and it's 8 months. If this is you and you have been actively looking for a job to no avail, I really want to encourage you to get busy doing something else that is productive, some sort of skill building. I think we have another presenter after that has some skill courses or something that maybe you can tap into. Plug in with your local workforce development communities. Right here in Arizona, we have Arizona at Work, and you can plug in there, and they have access to trainings and help you pay for certification and grant fundings, right? And so all of these different things that you can be tapping into, because to say, well, I was looking for a job, and in the meantime, your skills are getting more and more dull, right? This is going to not so positively affect you in the long run in this highly super competitive marketplace that we're in right now. So be on your guard. And as you approach a 6 month kind of threshold, it's time to really kind of put on them big kid pants and get to identifying some volunteer work, read some books, register for a class, take a part-time job, take a contract. And if it was a series of contracts just to kind of hold you over, you can group contracts together, especially if they were like contracts. If they were similar contracts, if you were a project manager or what have you in all the contracts, just lump them together, one big group of dates. It's okay. And then each bullet point can represent results or accomplishments from each unique contract opportunity. So I'm hoping that I'm addressing some of the questions that came up through the chat and Jessica's question at the same time, and then I'll be quiet. I'll do my best.
So thank you, ladies. Man, I'll tell you what, here's the deal. We have so many questions happening in chat that what I think we're gonna do is take all of those questions and do some social media responses to it over the next week or so. And so I am, if you're okay with it, would like to send the three of you and Amanda each of you all pick some different questions, and then we can do some responses and put it out on social media. Would that be okay with you guys? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you guys aren't following Career Connectors on LinkedIn, and I'll talk about it in a minute, but LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, choose one, at least one to follow us on, because we'll push out the responses, or we'll push out those responses, because man, these questions are really, really good today, and I wish we had another hour with them. Okay, so, you know, a lot, I've seen it in the chat as well. There is always a discussion about, yes, I need help with my resume. Yes, we have free resources. They're going to be able to talk to you guys in the breakout rooms here in a little bit to get some additional guidance in a small group or one-on-one format. And so help us understand the value of the spending hundreds of dollars on getting resume prepared with somebody like you guys, or somebody like you, compared to what's available from the free services that are available out there. How would you guys address that?
I will say, I was once a part of the free service, and free services aren't free. Free services, usually there is some sort of cost to them. Sometimes you're just not the one paying it. And so there is a cost. But then on the other side of my brain, I think you get what you pay for. And free service usually comes along with like long queues and high kind of portfolios of clients. And so the caseload is really high. So you might get an hour versus a traditional professional resume writing experience, which is much more significant, just because you are one of many in a big queue. And so that's not a fear factor, right? Just do what works for you. Some of you all have said, I'm unemployed, I don't have any money. I would rather you take advantage of the free service than to keep kind of hitting your head up against the same brick wall over and over on your own. At least that free help is going to be better than nothing at all. And so please take advantage of whatever you know to take advantage of. But then I think about the folks who are, talking about, their vacations and their Gucci bags, and then they say, I don't have money to invest in a professional resume writer. Oh, you have money to invest. You're just choosing not to invest it. And that's okay too, because that's your choice. And so I say to you, we will prioritize the things that we care about. And this is working with a professional resume writer or a career coach or what have you, can be one of the most substantial investments you will ever make, because when you are well positioned in your career and you understand your value, now you are far less likely to start settling for some less than ideal jobs. You can start to create the kind of balance and different things that you really want to have in your life and for your family. And so just sometimes we got to find it. Like, it's scary. Look, I was having some real mental health battles, and the therapist that I wanted to see did not accept insurance, but I wanted to see her. And I was like, darn it, I don't know if I can afford this. And then I said, darn it, how can I not afford this? How can I not find a way to get this thing done? And I signed on the darn dotted line, let's start. And so sometimes we have to just kind of put our foot down, draw a line in the sand and say, I am going to do the thing because I know it will help me in the long run.
Yeah, sometimes if you get back to work a month or 2 months sooner, just think how much money you've made by getting that help.
Yeah, it costs a lot more to be unemployed than to pay for our services. So yeah, absolutely perfect, Donna.
It's all about how you're marketing yourself. Really, it's how effectively are you marketing yourself? If we think about, I don't know, some recent marketing snafus that have happened out there, and the cost to the corporations. That same thing happens for you. Is an ineffective marketing keeps you looking longer and longer and more frustrated. And as Brenda said, like, that mental health suffers. And I just wrote a post the other day about the gentleman who wrote me that said he got $23,000 more in salary than he was expecting in his job search. And so it's really, I know that it's hard when you're unemployed. I get it. There are free services out there. Let that be your foundation. And then take what we've taught you today and make it yours. I think that's the biggest issue with free is it's typically mass produced, it's templated, and it's not yours. So make sure that you own the content in your resume. Don't just go pay somebody $1,000 because you found it on the internet. Like, work with somebody one-on-one. So your voice is in that resume, your personality is in there. You can support every word of that resume. And so free doesn't typically always do that. So make sure that even if you have that free service, that you then take it and make it yours, put your personality, your voice, your accomplishments in there.
And please, one more word, because Lori is stirring up something really
Yeah.
good in me. And it's just that a good professional resume writer worth their weight is going to do so much more for you than write your resume. They are going to help you really navigate the system and prepare for interviews and help you with LinkedIn and how do I network and what do I do with this resume now that I have one. And so please don't think that the full outcome, that the whole end game is just a resume. It's a resume, it's an execution strategy, and it's all of the little itty bitty questions that you are going to have along the way.
And just a word of caution on that, you guys. We have seen many people go out to the internet, put in resume writer, and pay over $1,000, well over. My sister alone called me one day and she put down $2,000, and I'm like, what are you doing? You didn't even call me.
You're
And
like, I know people.
I know. And so it happens all the time. Don't do that. Find somebody, do exactly what these ladies are telling you. Get the baseline. Do your best to put your own together, because then when you talk to a resume writer, they're like, oh, maybe you just need some tweaks. And that is way less expensive than just going, I have nothing, help me. And so that's why it's hard to give a cost. It really can be a full range. And so just trust that we have your best interest in mind, and you're going to get a chance to talk to these ladies in the breakout rooms about your different situations. But we do have a ton of people on the call today. So the breakout rooms might be kind of full. So you're just going to have to wait until but we have additional coaches coming in. All right. You guys, we're way over. We're so over every time, I feel like. This is the one event I allow us to go over because the questions are always so packed. But we are going to address a lot of this in social media. So follow our accounts. This is recorded. You can go back and look at these. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you each want to take just a second and drop any last words of guidance or hope for the folks that are on the line today? Lori, you want to start us?
Yeah, so I'll just say, like, I believe, I'm not sure about Dawn, but I know Brenda and I have all been in your shoes, having been laid off, feeling frustrated and, I don't know what to do. And I know that sending your resume out to hundreds of people and getting no responses can be disheartening. And so I encourage you to try a different method, right? So stop doing the same thing. Stop sending out the same generic resume. Like, really think about what I said earlier with the 5 to 10 a week. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about LinkedIn, but if you're not on LinkedIn, you've got to get on there. You've got to build a LinkedIn profile. And, people always talk about making money while you sleep. LinkedIn is job searching while you sleep. And so think of it as a job search agent. I would say that LinkedIn has become as important as resumes these days. So get out there and get on LinkedIn. You can connect with people. People will respond to you. That people you could not have imagined would have talked to you. Will write back to you and actually have conversations with you on LinkedIn. So try a different approach. Don't keep beating your head against that sending out 100 applications a week wall, and know that people are out there getting hired. It is possible. I just want you to go about it differently.
Amen. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say that keep in mind that your resume is a marketing document. It's a marketing piece. It is not just the history of your career. And if you can keep that in mind, you know that you're talking to someone. You're trying to sell yourself to the employer.
And for me, I think about, I shared this before, but many years ago, my toilet was running and
Oh, good.
somebody said to me, oh, all you got to do is change out the little thingy. It's like $2. You can go to Home Depot. Let me tell you how I froze. The paralysis was just unmatched. Information was out there. There are YouTube videos galore on how to change the little doohickey in your toilet. And yet I didn't know what to do. I was completely overwhelmed with the task in front of me. And so just in much of the same way, there is tons of information out there. There are websites and courses and all sorts of things about how to write a resume. And you are going to get in there and everything's going to make sense while you're in that course. And you're going to sit down, and that's when the paralysis may come. And so if and when that paralysis comes, just knowing that you have friends, you have options to not go this journey alone.
That's right. Awesome, ladies. Thank you for being here. I did want to let everyone know we do have a full LinkedIn session coming up. It is our next Career Connectors event, virtual event. So that will be included in your email. We just had too many great questions in the chat today that I needed to ask to get just resume content today. So how about a virtual round of applause for our awesome panelists? Thank you, Donna, Lori, and Brenda. We so appreciate you guys. And they will also be available in the breakout here in just a little bit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yay! All right. So now we're going to move over. And I think we're going to see the PowerPoint come back, you guys. And we're going to move over to LearnKey, a new tool system that we have available. And I'd like to introduce you to Jeff Cursini. Jeff, you're gonna have to fix that for me. I'm so sorry. But he's the CEO of LearnKey, which is a premier global training and workforce solutions company based in St. George, Utah. And he has been in the education training space for over 12 years. And prior to that, spent over 20 years in travel and sports digital media with software as a service companies. He is passionate about upskilling students and adult learners, as LearnKey has a strong presence in K-12, higher education, and voc rehab programs. And over the last 8 years has come an education certification employment program, working with hundreds of adult learners annually through online training who is transitioning into new careers. We recently developed this partnership, and he has some free resources for you guys I'd love for you to hear about today. So please help me welcome Jeff to our stage.
Good morning. Hi, Jessica. How you doing?
Good.
What a great group. And I got to say, Lori, Brenda, Donna, fabulous. Boy, is this a tough act to follow. But I just really want to real briefly, and we'll be in a breakout room, and hopefully I can help you catch up, Jessica, a little bit, but just really talk about some of the things that I've observed. And they were spot on. They talked about focus, specific is terrific. They talked about measurable accomplishments. Those are the kind of things that you want to also focus on when you're trying to get upskilled. I noticed that in the chat box, I saw words and phrases like remote work, IT, travel industry, leveraging talents, cybersecurity, cloud computing. So a lot of different questions and a lot of different terms that are being thrown out there that real excited to share with you about this partnership that we have with Career Connectors. It really started about 3 or 4 months ago, because we've been in the business for many years of creating certification pathways that lead to employment, and having the opportunity to sit with Jessica and Joey and learn about Career Connectors and how aligned we were. And especially as we were starting to create more pathways that were really focused on getting completed in 90 days or less. And so through those discussions and the synergies, real excited to announce this partnership and the types of career pathways and upskill training that we have to offer you. So if we want to go to the next slide real quick. I'm just going to kind of give a brief overview. Those of you that may have never heard about LearnKey, we've been creating online courses for over 36 years, started doing them on VHS back in the day, back in the late 80s, moved to CD-ROM, and then in the mid 90s, really moved our online learning to the internet when the internet just started to be out there and be popular. And a lot of times people will ask us, okay, so where is LearnKey? Well, we're in about 3,000 schools in North America. Probably about 250,000 students are taking our courses. And then we also run programs for people that want to transition into a new career. We work very closely with veterans who want to gain employability skills. Also, some of the differentiators about LearnKey, because there's a lot of online learning institutions and things like that, is we really focus on making sure that our courses are engaging, interactive, and make sure that they give you the knowledge and the training that you need to get certified, whether that's in IT, whether that's in programming, whether that is in project management. Really focused, and our secret sauce is really making sure that they're visual, they're audio, you can see it, you can hear it, and then you get that hands-on practice. We're also work very closely with a lot of organizations such as Deseret Industries, which is very similar in wanting to get people who are transitioning upskilled and employed. Work very closely with Department of Workforce Services, work very closely with the VA. Some corporate customers, HP1, Sunland, those are big companies here in Arizona, as well as Boeing. Certiport is one of our certification partners. So really excited to be here today and offer the program that we're going to be talking about a little bit more in the breakout session. If you want to go to the next slide. One of the things about this Upskill Academy that we're super excited about is we've got about 19 pathways that lead to a job. And I put the link in the chat so people can have access to it. And I'll give you, we'll talk about it a little bit more in the breakout. But the way we put this together is there is an opportunity. So let's say, for example, that people have been certified before. Maybe they got certified in CompTIA so that they could work in IT. Maybe they got certified in Excel so they could work in accounting. Maybe they already have the certification, but they just want to get refreshed. Well, then, you can really kind of focus on getting upskilled. But if you don't have any experience, let's say, and you're transitioning from a role where you don't know accounting, then you probably do want to get certified in Excel. Because just as Lori and Brenda and Donna had talked about, focus and be specific and have something that's measurable. Hey, I'm transitioning. I used to do project management. I'm going to move into accounting. I got certified in Excel, right? That will show a great accomplishment there. So when you look at these upskill pathways that we've created, we've got one category that really talks about, hey, if you just need to get upskill, here's a set of courses that you can take. Or if you want to go to certification, then getting certified, these are some of the additional things that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to be able to learn it. You're going to want to be able to take a practice test so that you're prepared to sit for the exam. And then you're going to want to get the exam voucher as well included in that program. The Upskill Academy that we have created, for example, there's the 19 pathways that I talked about. There are pathways specific to accounting and finance, customer experience, customer service, entrepreneurship, small business, administrative support. So within each of these pathways, there are courses. The courses come with pre-assessments, post-assessments, workbooks, projects, and much more content to help you to get prepared and get upskilled. Cybersecurity is real big right now. IT is real big, not only in Arizona, but nationwide. So we've got 5 separate pathways that you can basically go through, get certified, and be qualified for a career in IT. Information technology, to go a little broader, we've got pathways in artificial intelligence, cloud administrator, data analyst, cloud fundamentals, help desk technical support, computer-aided design, video production, graphic design, web designing, and much more. And really, really what gets us excited about this, and you can go ahead and move on to the next slide, Bree, please, is that most of you know that learning online is not easy, but it's the future. You know, you see these commercials out there that talk about, oh, hey, you can, take a course in the middle of the night. No, you can't. If you're going to really focus on this and you want to get yourself into a job, you got to take learning online seriously. As a matter of fact, I go out and talk to a lot of groups and tell them that is in a skill within and of itself, just being able to learn online. And believe me when I say this, that you've got to take a real specific approach to it and make sure that you're setting aside the time. If you want to get certified and you want to look at a different career, okay, what is it going to take? How much time is it going to take? Am I going to put in the time? Have I thought about when I'm actually going to put in the time, over the course of a week? So the programs that we have in the Upskill Academy with Career Connectors, you're going to be able to see all that. You're going to see how much time it's going to take based on whether you want to study 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week. You'll be able to see that. And then what's really, really exciting is the special offer that we have for all of you. Partnership with Career Connectors, we are offering to give everybody a sample, 2 free courses to take. And one of them is in cybersecurity, and it's really about protecting yourself and your organization. So working remote, that's a big thing that everybody wants to do, right? Well, we created this course specifically for individuals, but also for companies, so they can understand, as a good employee, what should I be doing, right? What should I also be doing if I'm employed to protect the organization? So it's not only going to talk about cybersecurity from a technical standpoint and some of the basic things like what to click on, what not to click on, but also if you are working remotely, what information should be shared? How should you make sure that you're set up? Plus, this will also, both of these courses are only probably about 45 minutes to an hour and a half. And the other course, Building Trust and Credibility, is perfect. It's a perfect course, especially for people right now that are out there that are transitioning, that want to make sure that, early on, I think it might have been Brenda or Lori that said, hey, we've all been there before. I've been there before when looking for a job. And so in addition to some of these courses that we have that map to certifications, we also have additional courses that right now are kind of looked at as professional development and soft skills. How do I navigate conflict? Building Trust and Credibility is a great course we just released. And so afterwards, I know that the team at Career Connectors is going to send out a link where you can sign up and get access to these courses. And that'll give you an opportunity to do 2 things, right? Get an opportunity to see how we create our courses, and also, give you an opportunity to learn what I think probably is one of the most important skills right now is cybersecurity and how to protect yourself online. And with that, Jessica, hopefully I caught you up a little bit, because I got to tell you that the conversation about the resume and what Lori and Brenda and Donna brought into this is fantastic. One last thing I'll close with regards to these programs that we're offering, these upskill pathways through Career Connectors. We're also giving people the opportunity to take a behavioral assessment that will put together an 18-page report that talks about your natural talents. And we think that's really, really important. If you can learn about yourself, learn about some of your talents are, you can really kind of leverage that when you're out there looking for a job. For example, motivators. What motivates you? When's the last time you thought about, okay, what really does motivate you? So we have an assessment that will take you through that. That's included in any of the pathways. And then we also have a free IT survey that'll kind of give you a real quick test on where are your IT skills right now. And that might help you if you're interested in exploring an IT career.
Awesome.
You got it, Jessica. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. Lots of great resources here. And so again, the access to the 2 are free. The assessment, I took it a couple months ago. It's really eye-opening, you guys, and provides a lot of great information. So we'll make sure that In the email that comes out, we will have the links to those items, as well as Jeff is available in the breakout rooms. And so you can talk to him. I am going through the chat right now, and we are documenting all these additional questions that you guys had that didn't get answered. There are a lot of them, so we are so sorry we couldn't address everything, but we will get the content out for you. All right, I do want to tell you guys about a couple more resources before we move on to the breakout rooms. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love it. Just email us at contact@careerconnectors.org. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn and ask questions there. That's one of the primary ways that I communicate with people. And so especially people that are in career transition, because that is the place I can help you connect with others. And so if we're not connected on LinkedIn, join the Career Connectors group or connect directly with me. I would greatly appreciate that. All right, we also have another assessment, a DISC assessment, which is a little bit different than what Jeff is offering, but this one is free as well. And you're going to get a report back that tells you a little bit about your ideal work environment, your communication style. Also, we have 2 years of webinars out on our website right now. So many questions in the chat about what kind of technology should I be using to check for keywords. There's questions about interviews. There's questions about LinkedIn. There's questions in here about hiring companies and who's hiring for remote work. You guys, we have all of that addressed on our different webinars. A couple specific ones I want to call out. We have one that we did a couple weeks ago, a hiring event for people. We have a couple actually. We have one for anyone in the finance and insurance kind of industry. Really, it's most people, whether it's sales or HR or actually doing finance, all of that, it was addressed in this event. And it was, you'll see on our page, it's called AZ Careers Now, Insurance and Financial Career Expo. There were over 4,000 jobs featured on that. Thank you, Joey. Joey's dropping the link in. We also did one last week or the week before, fastest growing industries. And we used 5 different industries that are growing, both in-person and remote jobs. That webinar is out there right now. We did one on transportation, supply chain, and warehousing last week. That one is out there as well. And so those are 3 that were just done recently that had thousands and thousands of job opportunities. And so those webinars are out there. We also have, there's one called Where the Jobs Are with Trevor Stokes. And so Trevor talks specifically about the industries that are growing and what's happening. And so again, we're based in Arizona, but he did it on a national level. So that is a great event for you to attend as well. And then of course, we'll be sending out the recording with this one also. So there is our social media platform. So wherever you are on the internet, we would love to connect with you. And again, we'll get the rest of these questions answered through those various different venues. Thank you so much to our partners that are helpful and help fund this program so that we can provide these resources to all of you. We are super grateful. And one of them that is here and will be on the line is Best Companies AZ. And they will be talking available with a whole bunch of the best places to work, the most admired companies that are based in Arizona, but have both in-person and remote opportunities. And so if you're looking for a great company to work for, Denise and Jenna and Carrie with Best Companies AZ are a great resource for you. And so they represent companies that have won many of the awards that you see on your screen right now. Most admired companies, a Fortune 100, the DEI, Best Places to Work, those kind of programs. And on this next slide, you'll see some of the companies that they represent. So if you're interested in talking to somebody that actually has companies that are hiring, today, we did bring a representative in from Best Companies AZ, and they will be available in the breakout room. And I believe Jenna, thanks, Jenna. Jenna just dropped in a whole bunch of links for you guys, so you can get connected to them as well and see the companies that they represent and some of their companies. Again, there's never, ever a cost for any of the referrals that they give you. They're not a staffing firm either, but they do represent companies that are hiring for some great jobs. Okay, so let's talk about upcoming events. If you are in the Phoenix area, we have an event in Avondale in person coming on September 28th. And that is, we'll have about between 25 and 30 hiring companies. We have 22 confirmed right now, but it will be live in person, happening in the Avondale area. And so if you can join us on site, we will be there. And then Thursday, October 5th, we are doing a specific LinkedIn event virtual that any of you can join. So if you are or if you're in your career transition, please join us for the LinkedIn event on October 5th. And then October 12th, you guys, we're doing a diversity talks panel and hiring event. So we'll have about 20 companies that will be virtual, and you can meet companies that are hiring, that have either won an award as a best place to work, or they have a strong affinity for diversity initiatives, different ERG groups, and different kinds of support for DEI. And so we will have that talk on Thursday, October 12th. These will all be included in the email that you guys are going to get following this event. I'd like to thank our volunteers. We run primarily on volunteers. And so thank you to everyone that's here. Thank you to all the resume writers and Coaching Association have been a support of Career Connectors and all of the people that we serve for 14 years. Donna Tucker is our longest serving volunteer. No joke. I remember when she showed up at the back of a church one day with me and said, "I'm here to help." And I was like, good, because I don't know what I'm doing. And she knew what she was doing, thank goodness. And so she has been volunteering and helping write resumes for people for 14 years along with Career Connectors. And then everybody else that's on the call, we have so many coaches today. Thank you for being here that are going to be available to chat. If you are interested in volunteering, you can always connect with us at careerconnectors.org/volunteer. And then, of course, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So if there comes a day when you are working and you would like to give, we would really appreciate it, because your funds are used to continue this program and to grow it. So thank you again for anyone who has ever donated to Career Connectors to help us get where we are today. And now we're going to move over into the breakout session. So Bree is going to come on the call and walk you through how to get into the breakouts. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't answer a couple questions. You are going to get the recording. It's usually available same day. Sometimes it takes the morning. It just depends on the download time. And so that email will come out this afternoon or tomorrow morning, and you will be able to click on it and go to the recording. Again, sometimes it's not up until tomorrow morning, but the recording is coming. Okay, yeah, that's everything. Okay, so I'm gonna push it over to Bree, and I just want to say thank you all for being here. Thank you for engaging, and we are just praying for all of you that you do land into the career of your dreams. Thanks for being here today.